Good evening, everybody. How are we doing for a YouTube exclusive right here on the Around the Rose podcast? Now, guys, right now it's winter time. It's getting a little cold out there, but it seems that things are heating up right now over in the world of breed combination wrestling as they are set to hold their latest event, Queen of the North 4, happening this Sunday. And we are happy to be joined by friend of the show, Anthony Cole, owner and promoter. Anthony, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good, John. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good. I'm really looking forward to this Queen of the North, and that's going to be my first one that I will be at. But before we get to that, just want to bring everybody up to speed because I know you've actually had two events in the last
Yes.
couple of weeks with Christmas Vengeance and one that you guys did on New Year's Day. If you want to just go through it quickly, how you felt everything went those 2 days.
Oh man, Christmas with the Vengeance was great. I really enjoyed that show. We brought out it was the tournament to crown the Grand Dragon. I mean, not Chris, not. I was thinking of Grand Dragon, but Christmas with the Vengeance was the show after the Grand Dragon,
Yes.
and that's when we got to see the first time Anthony Gangone got to defend his title. Man, we had some wonderful matches on that show. Anthony versus Saeed El Sabah. We have Ruthless Lala taking on Brittany Blake. Brandy Lauren actually made an appearance on that show. Big shout out to Brandy. She went against Mickey Duke. I mean, all the matches were great. Darius Carter versus Steve Mack. That was just an unbelievable match, and so many others on the card. So I really enjoyed Christmas with a Vengeance.
I remember the one with Darius because we actually made it for that one. I think we had gotten there. I think it was already like the second half because we had come down from Icons from Philadelphia. And I remember seeing that Darius Carter match. And one thing I've said this before about Darius, the fact that nobody has signed him yet,
It's
to me,
crazy,
is
isn't it?
astonishing.
Yeah.
Because you look at, and the one thing they always talk about when it comes to pro wrestling is heels. And that, you have a lot of the cool heels now. And I think it's safe to say in the New York, New Jersey area, I think I can safely say now I have seen two heels that you can have compete with anybody up in WWE or AEW, and one of them to me is Darius Carter.
Definitely, I agree with
I'll
that.
put him over till my last breath because to me, when he's in that ring, he does what a heel is supposed to do. You're supposed to hate
Yes.
him, and he
Yep.
does that perfectly. I mean, even the fact that his intro is like 5 minutes long.
Right.
And you're sitting there going, okay, Darius, let's go.
Uh-huh.
We have another 4 matches to go.
Yep. Oh
But
no, he's gonna get his shot. He's gonna take his time.
but that's what I love about him. That's what he's
Yes.
good at. And the other one who
Hmm.
I would say is on that same level of being a fantastic heel. I don't know if you've never seen him before, but his name is Blaze Haram.
Oh, Blaze Haram, I did see him. He had a big feud with Rick Recon. I
Yes,
was
he did.
really paying attention to that feud. Yes, I like Blaze Haram.
Yes, I just recently saw him at a show over in Titan, and the second he came out, the entire Titan crowd started booing him.
Just booing him. Yeah.
And I was like, between him and Darius, I'm like, I don't know if you can get heels that are better than those two.
Right. I agree with that.
And I know if I say it to both of them, they're going to sit there and say, I know what I'm talking about. But I'm like, I see enough wrestling. I watch wrestling basically every day of the week. To me, when
Hmm.
I see a good heel, I'll tell them, I'll put them, and this could be a huge compliment to them in WWE as far as heat that especially Darius Carter gets.
Hmm.
I put him close to a Bully Ray.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That it's like no matter what he does,
He's always gonna be hated.
oh, exactly. Like I can never see Darius Carter being a good guy. It's just not in his
Oh
nature.
no, it's not in his nature.
No. But you also had the New Year's Day show.
Yes, welcome to the new year. That was also a good show. That show I was joined by my brothers in wrestling, One Division Pro, Armani Labels, Vince Steele, and his brother Giovanni representing Shadow Wrestling Alliance. And unfortunately, Ron Starr couldn't be there that day, but we did have representation from Pro Wrestling All. So all of us together, we put on a great show. I mean, we had some great matches. One Division Pro had Tarzan versus Batsu Kusanagi. They also had BD Cruz. And you know something about BD Cruz? That was my first time seeing him. And I was like, okay, not bad. Not bad at all. He took on Theo Ivory, and he actually won the championship that night. So those were some pretty good matches. And then, Shadow Wrestling Alliance, they had Nikolai Light versus Sebastian Cage, which was, it's always good to see those two go at it. They've been having a rivalry for a bit. And you never know who's gonna go over in that match. So that's a great match to see. And then Shadow Wrestling also had Chris Cage versus Vince Steele, which was a good match too. Vince, man, as big as Vince is, he can really move. And for him to take on Chris Cage like that, good stuff, man. And then of course, BCW, we did our matches. Anthony Gangone versus Face, the MILF Hunter, which let me tell you, Jay Bougie and his crew, oh man, they are something else. They tried to get Anthony, but Anthony outsmarted them that night. So that was pretty funny.
And you say about heels, and we were saying before with Darius Carter and Blaze Haram, you can also put somebody like Anthony Gangone into that mix. Because
definitely.
yes, while Gangone is somebody who can be both a good guy and a bad guy, when he has to be a bad guy, he really goes into being a bad guy.
It. Oh yeah.
But even somebody like Bougie is in the same department. To me, there's certain guys when it comes to independent wrestling who, if they have to be a heel, they can do it. They can be some of the best heels out there.
Oh yeah. And don't forget Ruthless Lala. Now, she's a female, but she lives up to her name. I mean, she's literally ruthless. And she took on O'Shea Edwards that night at Welcome to the New Year. Oh man, what a match! What a match!
Yeah, believe me, I've gotten to know Ruthless Lala, and she is not somebody you want to piss off.
Exactly. Yeah.
But let's now look ahead towards, I would say, one of your cornerstone events of the calendar year, which is Queen of the North. Now, for people who are watching this who may not know exactly, how did you come up with the pay-per-view of Queen of the North?
Oh man, you know what? I'm gonna give you the short story, but there is an actually long story. So when we were doing Queen of the North, what was happening at the same time was Game of Thrones. And you know me, I am like a fanatic for dragons. And with Game of Thrones, they were actually, I don't remember which season it was, but it was the point where Jon Snow had just became the king of the North, right? So we were like trying to figure out what kind of name we wanted for the all-girl show. And then everybody just unanimously agreed, why don't we do Queen of the North? And it was based off my love of dragons. And I was just like, you know what? Queen of the North sounds spectacular. And then we looked at some images of how we wanted to play it up. And that first one, we had the crown, we had the throne. Oh man. And it's been going ever since then. So it was just a collaboration of everybody's love for the dragons and for Game of Thrones and things like that. And it came together beautifully. And now look, 4 years later, we still here, Queen of the North 4.
Yeah, and it's happening coming up this Sunday over at the Mecca
of wrestling. Knights of Columbus, yes. Ridgefield Park.
Now, I want to look at some of the matches because not only do you have the tournament going on, but you also have a couple of singles matches.
Yes.
And the first one I want to look at is actually one that kind of crossed my eyes a little bit because I found this very intriguing. As Anthony Gangone will be defending the Grand Dragon Championship against the one Vicious Vicky.
Yes, indeed.
Now, this one kind of caught me by surprise because I forgot at the Anniversary 5 show, she won the Empress of Anarchy.
Exactly, yes.
Match. And also when it was announced that she was going to be taking on Gangone, I'm like, this could be interesting.
Oh,
because essentially you have two people, like we were saying before, about how you have a lot of people who like to be the bad guy, so to speak. You can almost say the same thing about Vicious Vicky. And I know she's on this redemption storyline right now because she come back from the injury.
Right.
How do you see this one playing out?
You know what? You see, Vicious Vicky, she is like, on this redemption tour. But you see, if you saw Christmas with a Vengeance, where Anthony Gangone took on Saeed El Sabah, I have never seen anybody get under Saeed's skin the way Anthony did. Anthony was trying to take Saeed out of his game, and for a moment, he actually did. Now, see, Vicky, she's on this redemption tour, but I don't think it's going to take much to make Vicious Vicky snap back to her viciousness. And if Anthony Gangone tries to get under Vicky's skin like that, oh, I don't think she's going to take too kindly to that.
No.
Yeah.
And this match to me has the make it of being a match of the day or match of the night, however you want to look at it. Yes. Because the fact you have two people in Gangone and Vicky who have very similar characters almost.
Mm-hmm.
Where you, like I said, they're both very similar in the sense that they both can get under your skin. So it's be interesting to see how that kind of plays into the whole match.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm excited about that one.
But then I also know you also have the return of, I know he's one of our co-hosts' favorite tag teams, but you also have the return of Blonde Force Trauma on this show.
Oh, yes.
And they'll be taking on the team of Nikki Duke, and I forgot who the other one was. Brittany Blake for the titles.
For the titles.
Now, do you think, if being a fan of this, do you think Nikki Duke and Brittany Blake have the potential almost to dethrone, mind you, a tag team that's held that title, if I remember correctly, from last year's Queen of the North?
Queen of the North, right? This will make
for one full year when they defeated the team of Dominic De Niro and Chris Barton for the
Yes. Yeah. Listen, it's Sunday, man. Anything can happen on any given Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But I have watched the reign of Blonde Force Trauma at BCW, and they've taken on all opponents. They've beaten the Runway, like you said. They won the titles from Chris and Dom, and they actually beat the Hex as well, during their reign. So they've taken on some top talent, and they've come out successful. I know that Nikki Duke and Brittany Blake are in a team that, is going to go lightly. But I think that Blonde Force Trauma may come out on top. If I was a betting man, I would probably put the money on them just because, of their consistency and the way, they operate. They know each other.
Yeah. But you also have to remember, they also have that third component in AJ Pan.
Oh, yes. The governor. I always forget about the governor.
How can you forget about the guy who every time I've seen him is wearing the most wonkiest looking suits imaginable? Sorry, AJ, if you're watching, I'm just saying.
And the fur coat. Don't forget about the fur coat.
Oh, of course not. Because who else wears a fur coat when it's 95 degrees outside? But again,
exactly.
I'm not saying, I'm not speculating anything. And I know right now it's not 95 degrees outside, but I've also seen him over the summer when you guys did the Anniversary 5 show, and he was still wearing a fur coat. And I'm like, dude, it's almost 80 degrees outside. Half of us are in here wearing shorts and a t-shirt. You're in here in a full-blown suit and a fur coat?
Yeah. He's out of his mind. He's crazy.
You gotta put. So anybody who's watching this, if you want to look into that match, you have to include AJ Pan into it, because the last couple of times I've seen him when it comes to Blonde Force Trauma, he always seems to get involved.
Yes, he does.
Even somebody like, if you go back to the show that was done Halloween weekend, when they took on the Runways, and they had the lovely Miss Larkin there. Even somebody like lovely Miss Larkin couldn't stop AJ Pan
from getting involved. Exactly.
Because when you think you have AJ Pan figured out, he throws another curveball, or he throws another, or he's 3 steps ahead of you, type of deal. But then you have the tournament itself, and I know one of the matches is actually one that I know you guys have been promoting for a while, and that is Emily J making her debut.
Yes.
Against a returning Notorious Mimi.
Yes, sir.
So what are your thoughts on this match?
You know what? Emily J, like you said, is making her debut. I've seen a lot of her stuff on the internet. I've looked at her, social media pages. She's taken on some pretty good opponents, but you know what? It's nothing seeing them online is nothing like seeing them in person. And
Absolutely.
she's coming with a bit of an attitude, which I like it. She got an edge on her shoulder. So I don't know, but again, Notorious Mimi, she's out there. She's got something to fight for, So any like you said, this is the tournament. So the ladies who win this tournament get a shot at the women's title on anniversary. And I think they're both going to be fighting for it. I don't know. It could go either way on this one.
Because also you have them, but I know you also have some other familiar names that are involved in this tournament as well, with one being the courageous Christina Marie.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
So to me, I think if you're somebody like Emily J, who you're making your debut, and I think I'm not mistaken, I think this is her debut up in the Northeast, if I remember correctly.
yes, yes, indeed.
You're gonna have to go into this thing realizing that you're going up against the top of the top. You're not going up
Yes.
against the bottom of the barrel here. Again, I'm not trying to me, when you're in a tournament like this, to essentially become the number one contender towards the
Mm-hmm.
women's title, you're going up against the top of the top.
Yes, yes,
So
and
you're
and
gonna have to
all the
bring your A game.
ladies got to bring their A game. That's what I was about to say. All of these ladies are going to be bringing their A game. So this is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to this.
This is one tournament that once I saw who was in it, especially knowing that not only recognized, but I've seen a lot of these women already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it can be a who's who.
Right,
And unfortunately, there's no. I know a lot of times when you look at sports, they always say, "Oh, there's that clear cut favorite." There's really not one in this because I could see it being somebody like Christina Marie. I could see Notorious Mimi going
right.
after it.
Like
I could see
it's
a
anybody's
curveball.
game.
Exactly. I could see a curveball and seeing somebody like Emily J pulling off the upsets of upsets
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
making a run
right.
for it. So it's really, I think for this one, if somebody look on the outside looking in, I think for any of these women, I think you have to be at your A game here. You can't.
Have to be.
You have to look at this, and this could be a sports reference here in a second. You almost have to look at all these matches as it's your Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That's it.
definitely.
I think that's the best way I can look at it. Where you win, you go on to the next round. You win the whole
Exactly.
thing, you're either going up, and that's actually the match I want to get to right now, because Ruthless Lala is actually going to be in action
Oh
that afternoon
yes.
as well, taking
Mm-hmm.
on, if I remember correctly, I think she was Queen of North winner 3, if I remember
Three.
correctly,
Yes, indeed. Yep.
the
Mm-hmm.
one and only Miss Danny Moe.
Danny Moe. Yes. You see, and this
So,
and this card is gonna be like so good. We got the Empress of Anarchy, Vicious Vicky, as we said, taking on Anthony Gangone, and then we got the champion taking on the Queen of the North 3. So these are gonna be some big matches. And as you said earlier, they gotta bring their A game. This is
ex-
not for the faint of heart.
exactly. This is, and especially you look at somebody like Ruthless Lala. I mean, she's defended that title plenty of times now since
Plenty
she
of times.
has held that title. Do you think, though, in the back of her mind, that she still has to bring that same level of intensity against somebody like a Danny?
Oh yes, every time. Because you know why? Everybody wants to dethrone the queen, right?
Exactly.
So Danny Moe has to win in order to walk out the champion, but she's got to go through almost an impenetrable, force in Ruthless Lala. Have you seen the lariats that she's been giving
Oh,
people? I mean, I when I first saw her give a lariat, I was like, wow, I would never want to be on the receiving end of that. That is perfect. But then she took something that was perfect and she made it better. And I'm just looking at her like, wow, wow. Wow, yeah. I wouldn't want to be on the other end of the ring
no.
and my opponent be Rufus Lala. No,
Oh,
I'm good on that.
you also don't want to do like we saw a couple months ago when she was set to go up against Jay Bougie in the Grand Dragon tournament. You
Mm,
don't want to piss her off
right,
because that
exactly.
lariat's not going to just be a simple lariat. That lariat's going to be one to take your head off.
Yes, yes.
But on the flip side, if you're somebody like Danny Moe going into this tournament, now she hasn't been at a lot of Brie shows lately. If
Hmm.
I could be wrong on that,
No, she hasn't been on a lot of blue shows. The schedule's conflicted, but she's back this time.
But you also have to realize if you're her, if you do somehow defeat Lala, you're going to have one of these women who win this Queen of the North coming at you at the anniversary show in March.
Right.
So
Mm.
it's like, to me, it's like if I'm Danny Moe and I sit there and go, well, I have a shot to win it, I'll be like, okay, congratulations. Now you're going to have somebody who's hungrier breathing down your neck heading into arguably the biggest show of the year for Bray.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to me, it's like either of these women, either Lala or Danny, it's going to have to look at it and go, okay, I get past this, but I'm going to have somebody who's hungrier literally not even 2 months later.
Right. Not even 2 months later. Right. Anniversary is March 18th. So as soon as you get healed up from Queen of the North, it's back in business.
Now, there is one name I know, we've talked about a lot of these names today, but there's one name that's been highly associated with Bray that I don't feel like we've talked about a lot of, and that's Darius Carter. Will he be in
Darius Carter.
action on Sunday?
Well, you know what? Darius Carter has vowed to be in the building. Darius Carter has said to me personally, there is no Queen of the North without the King of the North. And I don't want to say he's right. I don't want to agree with Darius at all. But when I go back and look at the previous three Queen of the Norths, Darius was always a main part of it. So if he's vowing to show up, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to talk to him if he shows up and let him know, look, this is the old lady show. And as much as we love having you here, this is just not, the situation right now. So, but we'll see when
Well,
he
that
shows
that
up.
that actually brings me up to another question. Speaking about the ladies of Bray, Marina Shafir, who's the current Bray combination champion, who actually dethroned Darius Carter at
Darius
last year's
Carter.
Queen of the North,
Correct.
which actually that kind of led into a funny story for the longest time that Carl, co-host of the show, said
Hmm.
that he was kryptonite to why Darius lost that
He's the
match.
kryptonite.
Because what happened was the quick story with that was Darius was on our show that Thursday beforehand
Okay.
and kept telling us, "Oh, I'm going to beat Marina Shafir. I'm going to beat Marina Shafir." Fast forward to that show, all of a sudden he lost.
Mm.
So that kind of started the trend in
Wow.
our heads that no matter if any of the champions ever come on, and Carl happens to be on, 9 times out of 10 they've lost.
Oh, yeah, keep Cole away from the champions.
Of
He's
course.
kryptonite.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
But what is the update with her? If you can give us one about
Right
what's
now,
going on.
we're in talks. She is becoming more of a staple at, I don't know if I should say the name, but, obviously everybody knows she's a staple at AEW. And
Yeah.
as much as we've tried to bring her back to continue defending the title, her schedule with AEW is just conflicting with us. So, once we can get everybody on the same page, she will definitely be back to defend that title.
Oh, all right, because I can tell you right now, knowing after what happened and knowing how Darius is, he's going to be the first one to sit there and tell and be the first one. And again, I could be wrong on this, but Darius will probably be the first one to sit there and say, "Yeah, I should be the one who should be that given that title," because he's
He
going to
might
feel.
say that. He might. He gonna feel
Hmm.
it's rightfully his, right? Since she can't. It's like Miss America, right? If Miss America can't hold up to the duties, the previous Miss America gets it.
Yeah, except say Miss America and thinking Darius Carter. That's just a weird.
Yeah, well, yeah, a real
I get
analogy, but
I get what you're saying though. I get
mhm.
what you're saying, but who else? Who else will be in action that day? In case people aren't have not seen it yet.
So the competitors for the Queen of the North tournament, as we said, Notorious Mimi taking on Emily J,
Hmm.
and then Christina Marie taking on Jada Stone, who's also making her debut at BCW. should be a very good match against Christina Marie. And then the final match for the Queen of the North tournament is actually Brittany Jade taking on a returning competitor in Nevaeh Chantel. So I'm going to be watching these matches very closely. I'm definitely looking to see who could potentially be the new Queen of the North 4. So this is
And
going to be a good one.
it's a lot of the names that you just mentioned. I think all of them could turn around and give their case for why they win. And I think 9 out of 10, not 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 of them, I think would be dead on accurate. Because like I said before, there's no clear cut favorite here. There's
Right.
no okay, this person's going to be the obvious one to go all the way.
Yeah.
Because that's not how it works. And if I learned anything, being in this crazy world of pro wrestling, expect the unexpected. You never know what you're going to expect.
Exactly. You never know. Yeah.
But anything else you would like to? Because obviously, I know you have the anniversary show coming up on March 18th. But
Yes.
as far as this show with Queen of the North, anything else you would like to bring up?
No, I think we covered it all, John. I mean, and we may add one additional match to the show. We're in talks right now with Shelby Waters
Okay.
and Journey Burke to see if they're available. And if they're available, we may put them against each other and see how that works out. Queen of the North, we always want to display the top female talent in the area, the top female talent in this independent wrestling world. So, if we have the opportunity to work with them, then we'll do it. And we should know about that within the next 24 hours. And that's going to be a special attraction match. It's not going to be part of the Queen of the North tournament, but it's going to be, an attraction match just to give some other opportunities out there for this show.
I totally agree with you on that. And also, folks, in case you are not able to make it that day and you like to watch the kickoff show, there is actually going to be a sort of a kickoff show that day
Yes.
being done by a certain podcast. Oh, yeah, that would be us.
That's right.
We'll be doing a kickoff show for Queen of the North starting at noon that day. I know for a fact I will be there. I don't know which other one of the lovely crew that I have will be there, but I know I will be there. We'll get you guys ready. We'll have some of the stars actually on with us that day.
I'll be there for sure.
I kind of figured you would be there. But you never know who's going to pop in for that kickoff show. So definitely tune in for that. That gets going at 12 p.m. Eastern this coming Sunday, right before Queen of the North 4 gets rolling.
Yes, indeed.
But Anthony, in case people can't get to the area, where can people watch it as far as like Fight TV, IWTV, all that stuff?
We will actually, for this show, we will be live streaming on the Bree Combination Wrestling app. The app is breecw.tv. We'll be live streaming there on Sunday. And then after the live stream, we'll be rebroadcasting on Title Match, the official home of BCW now. So all of the BCW events, past and present, will be on Title Match if you want to go out there and check them out. And also follow us on YouTube. We're going to bring back the YouTube channel. And the first thing we're going to have back is Curtain Call. Curtain Call was our weekly show that told all things BCW. So we're going to be bringing that back. That's going to be hosted by Jimmy J. And I'm looking forward to that as well.
And you never know, you may see a couple of appearances on that YouTube channel from the Run Ropes podcast.
Of course. I'm looking forward to that.
You never know.
Yes.
But again, guys, if you're in the area, definitely stop by. It's going to be a fun afternoon of wrestling. You never know who's going to appear. You never know what's going to happen because when it comes to Bree Combination, expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected. Yes, indeed.
Like, for example, ring announcer wearing a dress for Halloween. Like I said, expect the unexpected.
Corpse Bride. Oh, my God. That was amazing. Oh, man. Shout out to Shane Fair, man.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. But again, guys, it all goes down this Sunday over at the Mecca, 106 Bergen Avenue, Ridgewood Park, New Jersey. If you're in the area, you probably know of that place by heart now. If you're an independent wrestling fan, you should know about that place by this point because I feel like every independent wrestling fan within Long Island, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, all knows about that place.
Oh, yeah.
But again, Anthony, It should be fun on Sunday. Can't wait to see you there on Sunday. It's gonna be a fun day, a lot of action. And like I said, folks, a lot of that action gets going right here on the ATR Network, starting at noon with the kickoff show, which we'll actually have Anthony call on for that to talk more about the event. And we may also have some special talent pop in. So you never know. And the only way you can find that out is by going to our YouTube page, youtube.com/at the ATR Network 2022, which, of course, if you're watching this video right now, that's probably where you're going to be seeing this from. So definitely want to subscribe. That's how you'll see all the information. And like I said, folks, you never know who's going to appear because there's some big names who might just be appearing that day right here. But again, for Anthony Cole, I'm John. This has been another YouTube exclusive for the Around the Ropes podcast, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.